Hello ladies and gentlemen, and what a glorious Sunday it is. Beautiful weather here in Uxbridge as we have the quarter-finals of Division 1. Two teams, two different stories. The team in front of me, the yellow of the Brunel Burners, undefeated. A team that has found themselves in this exact same situation many a time in the quarter-finals. This team has never gone further than this point. Hey man, I'm literally doing live comms now. I've got to set the story. Whilst on the other side of the field, the Bristol Barracuda with a 5-3 record, losing to Bournemouth twice by 52, once to Southampton. They came into the playoffs, and I tell you what, it wasn't looking great, especially, you know, how much criticism there has been in the Southwest One. But they managed to defeat the winners of the Southeast One, the KCL Regents, 20-0. And we are set up for a very interesting game here in Uxbridge. Hello SJ, what do you want?
Genuinely, that is...
I can imagine it is, mate, yeah. So we are here in Uxbridge, as you can see, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah? Yeah? Why is everyone talking to me while the stream started? There was I'm joking. So it's going to be an interesting one. Bristol realistically have got nothing to lose, but we have seen the Brunel Burners be in this exact same position multiple times, being the favourite going into the quarterfinals, but not being able to get to the quarterfinals, to be able to even have a shot at a game for the Premiership. It's always been a game behind. Last year, it was Oxford who put Brunel out. The year before that, Portsmouth. The year before that, SGS. Last time Bristol were in the playoffs was the 22-23 season, where they got knocked out by their now foes in the Bournemouth University Bobcats. Now, if you're interested in the Bournemouth University Bobcats, there's a game going on right now on Sport Tank. Steve is at Chapel Gate as the Bobcats take on the Kent Falcons. I'm sure there's some people probably going back and forth, or two screens, but keep on this one. So we're going to lock in here. I'm excited. I haven't got a clue. I haven't got a clue about how this game's going to go, which is why we're here. And a great angle I'm set up in. So, Brunel win the toss. They elect to defer. It's always nice in the playoffs. We've got a nice big reffing crew. So Bristol are going to be on offence first. It is going to be an absolutely riveting game here today, and I'm so happy to bring this to you. I just want to introduce myself to people watching. My name is Chris Tebbert and I will be your commentator today. I will be joined by Kwame at some point today, but he is coming from senior ball training, so he'll be here in about an hour's time, mate, don't you worry. But we've got a great viewpoint here. Hopefully I've got both of the paper rosters on hand. I've got all of the rosters on hand. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to have to bear with me as I sort out my my pieces of paper. Let's start with Bristol. Yeah, we do have a nice big reffing crew here today. Andrew Morale is going to be our head ref. Lee Wood, our umpire. I believe that's Roger Brown as our head linesman. James Kilbane, our line judge. Will Marriage as our back judge. And the centre judge will be Graham Smith. So we've got a nice big turnout for referees today. Boys here, it's playoffs, why wouldn't we? That's what I was doing. I was looking for a cough suite as we set up. No! Oh, it's my ref roster gone. So Tyrese Rettenham, number 5, is going to be looking to kick it away for the Burners as they look to start their campaign to a place they've never been, the quarterfinals. Rettenham with a big kick. And that's going to sail over the head of number 2. And that is going to be a touchback. So Bristol are going to start. So this is Bristol's highest league finish since 2001, finishing in 2nd place in the Southwest 1. And they're going to be looking to run the ball. But they love being tricky. Traps, counters and sweeps are the name of the game for the Barracuda. Good clap. And we see a first one there, but Brunel are absolutely eaten already. With a big loss, well, not a big loss of yards, it's going to be a loss of 4. I mean, this is how Brunel, that's how you want to start. So 2nd and 14. So let's see. Archie Calheim at running back. Bit of a high snap. QB directly in the middle. So they're going to get in front of the sticks. Danny Hudson, their QB, wearing number 19. Last week's team MVP, went 10 for 17, 124 yards and 2 touchdowns. He'd love to replicate that here today as they're looking down. A 3rd and 8, and it's going to be a toss play out. And so a timeout called by Brunel pretty early on, prior to the snap. Refs get those whistles in. Looks to be that Brunel were missing. .10:47 remains, in case anyone's interested in that. Seems though Ben Percival, number 8 there for Brunel, was missing. And Brunel didn't want to be a man short, so they elect to use their first timeout of the day pretty early on. It does allow Bristol to have a little chat as they discuss how to get 8.2 yards, 8.1, get enough for a first down. But Hudson surveying the field. Got a tight end in, that trips formation back. Hudson is looking out. He throws a big ball. And Hudson fires it over the head of Dom Bird, the team treasurer. He was unable to make bank with that. And it's going to be enough for Brunel to force Bristol to punt the ball. 4th and 8. Stuart Sinclair in at number 10 and Hamilton back. And that is what you want to see. And I mean, I feel like we've seen it a fair few times with with Brunel. They'll come out to a hot start. But I mean, you know, we don't play this game just in the first drive, ladies and gentlemen. You've got to lock in. You've got to lock in, and that's exactly what's happening here. To win or go home for all teams. So the Brunel Burners are going to be taking over. on the 35-yard line of the Barracuda. Bunch trips on the right-hand side. So they're going to be moving some people around here. Five in motion for Brunel. Hand off to 6. There's a lot of space there. Good tackle there by number 2 of the Barracuda. But our first down of the game does go to the Brunel Burners. But a lot of motion there from Brunel. Adam Turin there picking up that first down with a lot of misdirection, a lot of movement, but it works. Let's zoom in a bit. Under centre now. Once again, moving around. Jelinski goes back into the shotgun and goes back to that bunch trips. 10 in motion on the orbit, but Jelinski's looking and he's going to fire. Unable to find his receiver, number 14. So going to bring up a 2nd and 10. Let's try and get the sweet spot. I know no one cares about me trying to sort this, but it is just me here, sat on a plinth. 2nd and 10. One thing you've got to say about Jelinski, his throws have got so much power, but you know, it does beg the question. It's probably the best weather he's played in outside of California. Trips on the right, much wider. Jelinski's firing out to number 5. He's found the man. And he's making some moves, making some room, but he is going to be brought down there. Once again by number 2 of Bristol. Matthias Noodleman, free safety. And he's got some great pedigree behind him playing for the Aztecs. He's a bit of a Travis Hunter-esque here, as I've got his position listed as a safety and a wide receiver. But Brunel are on the move. They've got a 1st and goal here. Jelinski under centre now. Are they going to stay like this? They are, and it's going to be a hand off to Turin. And Turin is going to find space, and he bowls over a man. And the first touchdown of the day goes to the Brunel Burners. I mean, great mix, great blend there of all types of plays, run, pass, and even formations as well. You know, Brunel. I mean, Brunel are not mucking around here, but again, it's the first drive here, and you know, but Brunel are put that first foot forward into tasting the quarterfinal for the first time, and they're going to go for it. Number 5 has got it, but we're going to have to look here. Did he cross it? And he did. So it's not going to be 7, but it is. It's going to be 8. And ladies and gentlemen, I just want to point out, because like I'm above the Brunel players and coaches, if you do hear any swearing from any players and coaches, we do apologise, but it's one of those things where I can't control what these people have said, especially when they're fired up. So great first salvo from the Burners. Can Bristol respond? 8-0 the score. Still in Q1. I do apologise, I do have a slight cough as well, so I will try to not cough as best I can, but I mean, you've got to say that 8 points for Brunel was set up by a punt that was less than ideal for Bristol. But I mean, you've got to strike when the iron's hot, and just an absolute line drive up the middle there. Oh, number 2 has still got it. Fake me out. And Noodleman is going to be returning that to what looks to me to be the 20. I need to see where that ref's standing. Looks to me to be the 22, their own 22. So, Bristol need to retaliate. So 7 in motion for Bristol. And just a quick one, and it's picked off by number 27 of Brunel, and it's just like that, another touchdown for the Burners. That was so quick. What the hell just happened? Oh my Lord. Adam Rice, I can't believe that. And just like that, it is 14-0 to the Burners. And Adam Rice just read that perfectly. I'm hesitant to call it a hungry caterpillar, an easy read, but it seemed that way. 14-0 the score. So 13 has got it now. Flag on the play, 2 flags on the play. Hey Kwame, can you catch? Put them away. I beg you don't drop it. In fact, I'll throw it like this. You are going to have to turn it on as well. Yeah? You're going to have to turn it on. On the bottom. No, on the bottom of the mic. Do you see a blue light?
See it now, yeah. 2 blue lights.
Put the thing back on. Yeah. Yes, Osman?
Testing. Can you hear me? Mic check.
Yeah, you go.
Loud and clear.
So Kwame's here. It's going to be a bit strange because I can't really hear Kwame because he is down there.
I'm down here and I have a little bit of a quiet voice, according to some people. But I'm here, live in the flesh. The sun's out, so I'm going to take my coat off.
So Kwame, you got here just for that interception?
Just in time.
What are your thoughts? As a former, Brunel alum, the fact that they've never made it to the quarterfinals, how do you feel about that?
Right now, the little kid in me is over the moon. I've got to try and be as impartial as I can, but I don't think that's going to be very possible today. It's going to be very difficult because I've never seen the Burners win.
I don't mind. I will be impartial. You can be as happy as you want today. Obviously, if they win. But they are 14-0 up, and it feels like there's not long been. Flies over the top for another touchback. No flags.
What I will say is the last time these two teams faced off, it was 2017. It was hammering it down with rain, first round of the playoffs, and it was 15-15 and it went to overtime. It's currently 14-0, so hopefully this game will be a lot less stressful than that game, a lot more enjoyable. Okay.
So once again, this will be Bristol's 3rd offensive drive start. Went to a 4 and out.
It is warm.
Had a less than ideal punt, then an interception. But Brunel cannot get too confident here. So it's going to go out to number 0 and just swarmed there. And another first play of the offensive drive is going backwards for the Barracuda. And that's going backwards a long way. That looks like a loss of 9. You say that's a loss of 9?
Ooh, maybe 10.
I think it might be 10.
Maybe 11,
I think it is. I
actually.
think that's going to be a loss of 10.
We're looking at 11
Bristol
as well.
currently staring down a 2nd and 10.
I would say a long 10. If it is second and 10, that's a very long 10.
And a bit of a high snap. But number 7 is going to take it around the outside. And another crunching tackle. Bristol aren't going to have much there.
Just looks to me like he's got nowhere to go. I mean, it's another tackle for loss.
And it's going even further backwards. This is looking like a third and at least 24.
Yeah, looks about right.
Thanks, mate. So 15 in motion for the Barracuda.
Let as much as I could from Mike.
And 7 as well. High snap to Hudson. He's going to fall into the end zone, and that is going to be... And that is going to be another safety. Oh, sorry, not another safety. A safety. And I mean, I feel like this first quarter could not be going worse for the Barracuda, but some great defensive plays there from the Brunel Burners put the Bristol Barracuda into the danger safety zone. And we've seen some high snaps. And just Hudson's been able to grab them in, but just that time could not do it.
Just
2
looks to me
points
like
on the board for the Burners.
Just looks to me like the Burners are all over this right now. Nice and early, just like the last game. Just like the game they had against the Brighton Panthers as well. They've come out all guns blazing and just completely suffocated this team so far.
So Kwame, I think the question is, can they keep it up?
3-4 quarters?
Yeah.
I think they can. The question is, will they? Will they need to? Will they want to? Will they rep guys out? Will they run the score up?
Yeah. And an absolute hammer of a kick there. Great reception. Got into the right-hand side. And a stiff arm.
Oh my goodness.
God.
Oh my word.
I can't believe that. Another touchdown for
Just what I
Brunel.
called. Just what we called.
There is a flag in the end zone, but... I mean, if they're going to call this a celebration...
This is not natural. This is not natural. This is...
So the referees are going to have a conflab, and then they're going to tell us exactly what that was. Is that good? So
Touchdown is good. Good Z, bro. Good Z.
but the problem is that this game has been so not back and forth, but Brunel have just been dominating it so much that, you know, I'm struggling to keep track of it. 22-0 in Q1, almost as last week. I think it was maybe 28-0 in the first quarter for Brunel, and they're trending that way again.
It's interesting because the years that I played for Brunel were known as a fourth quarter team. We were known to be slow out the gates, take a while to get it going. Sometimes 3 quarters, nothing's going. 4th quarter, we finally turn on the heat. We finally wake up, get the job done by the skin of our teeth. But now, it seems to me that they're going for the extra point. It seems to me that the Burners are just able to get things done now. They're just able to get it done nice and early as this snap is a bit bad. It's quite low, and what's going to happen here?
Ooh. I mean, we were mere feet away from what could have been a spectacular play there, but the scoreline is going to stand 22-0 for Brunel, as once again they look to, I mean, break the curse and make it to the quarterfinals for the first time.
Will it be semi-finals?
The semi-finals.
Make it through the
sorry.
court, yes. I mean,
Whatever.
the way we've...
South finals.
The third game along. The way we've seen it. I've never seen a Burners team win more than 9 games in a season. So this will be something big if this continues. But also, Be interesting to see, because some people, as some of the team starts to eat, everyone else is going to feel like, you know, I want a piece of that pie as well. I want to eat something. I want to make a play. I want to do this set. I think making plays and pulling ahead isn't going to really make everyone sort of relax. It's going to make everyone more eager to make more plays, especially the guys down in the depth chart. You know, the rookies in the team, they're going to see this. They're immediately going to be licking their lips, looking to make plays themselves as well.
It flies into the end zone for a touchback. And I think it's pretty simple to say what Bristol need to do here. You need to not give up a huge amount of negative yards on this first offensive play of the drive. It has happened. I mean, if you count the interception, it's happened 3 times, and they've had 3 offensive drives.
Just shows Bristol right now, in order to do anything in this game, they need to start moving the ball. They need to start moving the chains. They can't take stupid risks. They can't take hospital passes. They can't play around. They have to get everything perfect from now onwards in order to stand an absolute flying chance in this game, because the Brunel Burners are just going to completely suffocate them. They're going to keep putting their feet on their necks. They're not going to let up here.
So another high snap there, and once again, Bristol just cannot stop getting negative yardages on their first play of a drive, and they're going to lose 5. I mean, and just like that, Kwame, what I've sort of said as my, what Bristol need to do, they've been unable to do it for now a 4th straight time.
Just seems to me like the offensive line is looking like turnstiles right now. They're letting anyone and everything through.
Another high snap, given to number 0, but he did have to slow down to receive the ball. I mean, for me, that just shows absolutely textbook why high snaps can throw off the timing of plays, because number 0 for Bristol had to slow down in order to catch that pitch, which arguably has led to a 3rd down long behind the sticks with a 3rd, and I'm gonna say 15.
Yeah, I think the Brunel Burners know that the only option right now for Bristol to really get the 1st down is to try and get someone open over the top and throw the ball. I mean, right now it looks to me that
Hudson did have some good stats last week passing the ball. And number 0 has got it again. And
seems to me that they just wanted to give themselves a bit more space to punt the ball. I mean,
I was just going to say, it seems as though the running backs for the Barracuda, they're gonna hate to see these yellow jerseys, but they're just being surrounded by them.
Just completely
as the punting
swarmed.
unit comes back on for the Bristol Barracuda. Last time they came out, there was a punt that put the Brunel Burners at the Bristol 35-yard line, allowing for Brunel's first score of the game, which feels like a long time ago now,
but
it really wasn't. It was probably about 5 minutes ago, in game time anyway.
I mean, it's just crazy, as you were saying about let's go have a look at this punt. As you were saying about the low snaps as well, that's going to really affect the running backs.
So a much better punt considering the punt last time. Brunel are
since I've been here that the Bristol Barracuda have not made it out of their own 3rd, let alone half.
See, and once again, I thought that punt maybe had a bit more legs on it, but once again, the Burners are going to be starting in the Bristol Barracuda half of the field.
So I was at the Portsmouth and NTU Renegades game last week with Steve, and that game was incredibly windy, right? We saw one side. Every time they punted the ball, threw the ball, the wind would just completely carry it away. Now today, I can't feel a single breeze at all.
No, it's an absolutely gorgeous day today. Summer ball weather. So under centre for Jelinski.
So that tells me...
Is he going to stay there? He is. And it's going to be, fake handoff to Turin. Jelinski fires it.
Fantastic catch and run by Jamal Stewart-Sinclair. As we've seen him before, we've seen his talent when he has the ball in his hands. We've seen him previously take kickoffs to the house. We've seen him today take a free kick to the house. And he's moved the chains very close to first and goal.
Where, both Jelinski and Turin, 3 and 6, it's being able to set it up, because Turin has been a threat today, scoring the first touchdown for Brunel. you're going to bring those Bristol Barracuda up and allow for those receivers to have a lot of space.
100%, and that's one of the main things about laying down the hammer very early in the game, making sure that you establish those run gaps, making sure that the offensive line.
So Jelinski just fires it. So that's not going to be enough for a touchdown, but what a diving grab that was.
Tom Hamilton, number 13, with a fantastic dive and catch. Brilliant hands.
I mean, Kwame, you've got to love the dedication there. You've got to love the dedication there.
I love it.
But
Right
it looks
now,
like it's going to be a whole new, fresh set of downs from the 1 for Brunel.
Best possible play they could have had, really. Fresh set of downs from the 1. I mean, landing the ball on the 11 originally, so they could still get a fresh set of downs without scoring a touchdown, which means now you have the option for, if you want to be like that, you could run a tush push 4 times in a row.
So Jelinski is under centre. Timeout called by Bristol. So the other game that Sport Tank is doing today is the other half of the Division 1 South Premiership or playoff picture. As Steve is doing Bournemouth versus Kent.
Do we have a score update for that game?
I was going to ask you if you'd like to do that.
I'll have a
because
look.
I don't know where I put my phone.
I'll have a look.
In fact, Kwame is going to give us a score update in that game. Because as it stands right now, Brunel are looking like they're going to be meeting whoever wins Kent versus Bournemouth.
I'd say they're fairly comfortably 1 foot into the Southern Final, so let's see if we can have a look and find out what the score is in the other game.
I also do want to shout out Bristol Barracuda. They love commenting on the rundown, and we love to have them. So. So, Brunel are going to come back out from a first down.
But there seems to be an issue with their stream.
Is there?
Seemed like it was up for about 11 minutes and then
I mean,
seems to have disappeared.
Text Steve that. So true in motion. Flag on the play. So it's going to be on Brunel. So it's going to be.
Justice Okolo a little bit too eager just to get going.
So a full stop penalty for Brunel is going to bring them back, but there's still going to be first and goal. Justice Okolo, they're sending the Burners backwards.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be too much of an issue for the Burners. I think now they've given themselves a bit more space. I'm seeing quite a few Burners alumni on the sideline. I'm seeing jackets here and there and some old stash and some of the old guard here to celebrate.
Why aren't you wearing any stash?
It's all at home. I came straight from training. I forgot to bring it.
Oh yeah, that is true. He did, yeah. Okay, so Janitski's going to roll out, but unable to find it there.
It's incomplete. Out the back of the end zone. Couldn't find anyone just there.
So still second and goal here for the Burners.
Which you guys want for anyway?
That's the ref roster. Pardon me. I've already read it out, so. What are you looking at?
It was blowing in my hand. I was trying to
Oh, was it?
get
Oh.
the names off. See if I knew anyone, recognise anyone.
So, Janitski in the shotgun. 4 receivers out. Bit of a low snap. Janitski fires across.
Looking for Stuart Sinclair on the screen. Just out of reach of his fingertips.
You know, once again, third and goal here for Brunel. Could just be that they're just maybe trying some new things here, but we haven't seen like Brunel be unable to convert all game long. And I will say all game long, but it is still only the first quarter.
Only the first quarter. And this is already their fourth trip to the red zone, would you say?
Or if they get there.
Or technically third, considering the pick six. Or even second, because one was a kick return. I mean, yeah, I think you're well within your rights to say that Brunel are probably just trying new things at this moment. We're comfortable in knowing that, you know, unless we see a monumental collapse, we know what the result is going to be at this point.
Is going to roll out to his right-hand side. May try and take it himself.
Does he make it in? Just out of bounds at the one.
So he's going to take it himself, and he's not going to get there. But it's going to be 4th down from the 1. It's basically back where they started.
I predict a tush push. Given what I could hear on the sideline.
Yeah, to be fair, that's not a very hidden play call, is it?
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure you guys heard that at home. So.
I mean, if you're Bristol defence, what do you do in this moment? Because you know what they're going to run.
And that is going to be a touchdown for Brunel.
When you've got, you know, 8 or 9 huge guys, arguably 8 or 9 of the biggest guys in the team, all lined up, very tight. You know what's going to happen, but there's virtually nothing you can do to stop it.
Yeah, but that's the same for the NFL, isn't it? That's why there are people like, you should ban the tush push. It's like, no, it's completely legal. Why would you ban it?
To be fair, that was just the Packers, because they decided to put Jordan Love on a QB sneak when he was drunk as hell, and decided to try to sneak without actually calling the snap. Someone's being substituted on.
Looks like it's going to be Turin as he's on the sideline currently, but
I think Hamilton was late onto the field, but
as Jelinski's still out there, Brunel are going to try and make it 30-0, and again, trying to go for 28-0 as it stands, and we're still in Q1. Hand off to 31.
Davide Pinto, does he get into the end zone?
No good.
Right.
No good.
That really begs the question, because one more score would be the score that you need for a running clock. Now, obviously, a running clock wouldn't happen from the first quarter. It'd be ridiculous. But how often do we ever see
teams come back
35 in the first quarter?
Yeah, but for me, like, you know, as you know, you commentate as well. Like, you try and keep the hope alive, right? And for me, like, the barrier for hope is 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Right? But we're in the first quarter here, and Bristol are 28-0 down.
At some point, as much as you know, we can say whatever, we can hope that, or the neutrals or even the Bristol fans can hope that Bristol wake up and put things together. But at some point, you have to think about the players themselves, and at some point, after the 3rd or 4th score, the heads will start to drop.
Yeah.
And once the heads drop, regardless of what the coaches are saying on the sideline, regardless of what plays you're calling, if the players on the pitch, if their heads are dropping, the game has already been lost by that point. So that's the main important thing is for Bristol is to keep their heads up.
Bristol have got time to rectify this, you know. Normally we say stuff like that, so it's going to be caught by number 2 in the end zone. It's going to be handoff to number 0. Number 0 has got it, and there are not that many yellow jerseys in the way.
It's always good to see a number 28 make the tackle, especially when I wear number 28.
And I tell you what, Bristol have not yet got it into the Brunel half of the field, but that's because they've got this ball bang on the 50.
Bang on the 50, and that's the best possession, the best field position that the Barracuda have had all afternoon.
So running to the left-hand side now, tries to get a stiff arm.
And that statement we made earlier stays true because they couldn't get out of their own half. Another tackle for a loss.
You know, and that's it. Now it's the 5th time in a row that the first defensive play for the Bristol Barracuda has gone backwards.
I'm honestly wondering now, have Bristol actually made any positive yards at all?
Yes,
Currently,
they
they
have
must
made
be,
positive-
their
well,
net yards must be negative.
yes, they have. Toss play, high toss.
Oh, that's a live ball. That was thrown backwards, and that is a live football. And
Oh, and a pitch that just could not reach the mark. And Brunel are going to turn the ball over. And once again, we're not out of Q1.
still in
And
the first,
offense of the Burners
still in the
get
first
no
quarter,
respite.
and a chance to go 5 scores up in the first quarter is absolutely ridiculous. Apologies if you heard any language. There's a lot of emotion on this sideline.
So Brunel going to take over in Bristol's half of the field again. 14 in motion. And Jelinski's looking to fire a missile. And another missile. No flags. And that's a touchdown for the Burners.
Another one.
Kwame, can you believe this?
I cannot believe this at all.
I cannot believe this.
28 plus 6. 34. 34-0. We're in the first quarter. It's been one play since that turnover. This is the best offense I've seen from the Brunel Burners. Season by season.
Season
by season, they'll say this is the best.
Kwame, me and you have commentated a lot of games, both together and, you know, separately. I don't think I've ever seen this many points put up in the first quarter.
There's been one game that I've ever seen this happen. And unfortunately, I was playing in that game.
That's funny. Okay, so Jelinski's going to take it. Well, he's calling for it. Low snap. Hand up to 31 again.
Pinto is into the end zone for the 2-pointer.
And 36. 36-0. I mean, again, Kwame, we try and keep the hope as commentators. Kwame, it's 36-0 in the first quarter.
I think the hope at this point honestly, for Bristol, the hope at this point is that it stays below 70, 80. We're looking at.
Really?
Because if we're closing in on 40 in the first quarter, if there's there will be a running clock in the second half. But the problem for them is that the running clock won't come until the second half, which means that we have the rest of the first quarter and the whole of the second quarter to potentially keep running the score up. Really and truly, who's to say that it doesn't get to 60 or 70 before half-time?
I just don't understand. I can't comprehend it. I cannot comprehend what is happening here today.
I mean, to be fair, there was a lot of talk about which division is better. Is it the Southwest? Is it the Southeast? Is it the South? And I'm sure you've had a bit of back and forth from some people.
Well, I don't know who you're having the conversation with, because, I mean, on the rundown, we made it pretty clear who we thought was the best division.
True, I mean, obviously, us guys can agree, but, not all of the fans agree. Some people will always back their team more than anything in the world, and don't get me wrong, if your team gets humbled, in the playoffs especially, it's always difficult to see. It's a difficult watch.
And another absolute line drive. Letting that roll. And two has got it. And two's got some room.
Oh.
And I tell you what, for Bristol.
Did he make it in?
And he's going to be out at the 1 yard line.
Did he make it into the end zone?
And what a turnaround for the Barracuda. I know, I said that.
He's down at the 1.
Down at the 1 here, but I mean, that was absolutely mental.
You know what's going to be mental is I'm still intrigued to see what will happen next. I'm still intrigued because it's not guaranteed.
I mean, Mateus Nudelman, the Bristol Aztec.
Nothing's guaranteed. We've seen obviously so far net yardage. Bristol have gone backwards on average. So
Nudelman with a lifeline for the Barracuda.
I'm intrigued to see what kind of play will they run, because they've not had a single play today where they've only needed 1 yard. So do you think they're going to run a QB sneak? Do you think we're going to run the ball, throw the ball? Something.
I mean, well, they've got to have some. They've got to have some package for this situation, right?
QB goes under centre now. Oh my! He lost some yards. And that was Tyrese Peters-Tovey, number 0, with a huge tackle, squeezing through that line, taking down the quarterback before he was even able to blink.
So it looks like they'll be back at the line of scrimmage. No tackle for loss for them.
It is second down.
And that is going to be a touchdown for the Barracuda. I mean, this game could not be over yet.
Could not be over yet. I mean, it's not over till she sings, and they've scored. They've got an opportunity. The lead is now down to 30.
I mean, this is what I mean. This is still the first quarter of this game.
I have a question. This is something I've actually never seen before, right? So the running clock would have started.
Yes.
But now we're down to 30. So would that mean that
it stops
the running
again.
clock stops again, or would they have to get down to 20 before it stops?
No, it stops again.
Okay.
So extra point is no good. But yeah, if they go outside of the threshold, then the running clock stops.
Because I heard they had to get it down to 20 once the running clock actually starts to stop it.
I don't think so. That's not what I've heard.
To be honest, I've never actually seen it happen, and once the running clock comes, you know the team's not going to come back. So, I mean, it matters. But the Burners defensively will not be happy with that play. Even though it was only 1 yard, the big play is... The big thing about that was the special teams kick return. And you see, the issue for Bristol is obviously that ball was rolling along the ground. It was on the floor for a while. So my thought was, are Bristol even going to have the opportunity to make it up the field, to make some yards and gain anything? But it seems to me that they found the crease. They made the most of it. And now, whatever happens today, they'll leave with a score, minimum. So there is something to look at the positives.
I mean, this game is not over yet. That's what I'm going for now.
And that shows the difference between the kick return. You don't have the opportunity to wait for something to open up.
One. It's been all Brunel. Could you believe that with this scoreline?
It's still a surprise. It's still a surprise, to be honest. Everything is a surprise because I did not expect Brunel to come away big leads before. I don't think I've ever seen more than 21 in this country.
Bristol
21 in this country.
Bristol creeping up a line.
Driven back
We have
to
actually
fight
got
for
the
those
Sport
extra
Tank Elite
yards.
squad out here now.
Fight for those extra yards.
Squad out here now.
Do.
Put me your mic.
Do.
Put me your mic. 39-yard line. 39-yard line. Brunel. Before Jed. Brunel. Before Jed dis. Jed there. Jed dis. Jed there. Jelinski, look at a fight. Jelinski, look at a fight.
Just too high for him.
This stream?
Yes.
It is bugging.
He says it's like repeating this 2 days ago.
Okay.
Don't know what that means. Still can't find anything to do with Bournemouth.
Jelinski's being pressured. First sack of the day for Bristol, and it's going to be a punt.
Thankfully, Mike's there actually. It's half-time, Bobcats 16, Falcons 0. Which is interesting how they've gone to half-time already. And
Run plays.
a lot of run plays must be.
Kwame, do me a favour. Can you go on this stream and just see how it looks? Because it should be fine.
Players off every time I have fun playing football. I'll be a goddamn millionaire.
They've had 2 tries in mental. They've had 2 tries in mental.
So a big turn for the Barracuda here. Long snap bobbled, and now the Barracuda are going to be taken over in Brunel territory again.
Very interesting. I mean, this almost always happens at some point, you know. It's almost inevitable that some plays will go wrong. I've never seen a team call a perfect game offensively, and to see a few plays go wrong, as long as they keep their heads in the right game, as long as they keep their heads in the right space in the game, and start to execute, especially on defense.
What's his stream saying?
Stream looks all right so far. I'm seeing that the audio is a little bit jittery, according to Seb.
I'd say we might have to give it time. I can see that something's going on, but it's getting better.
Yeah, sounds okay.
It's been good up to this. So a tipped ball there. Oh, and fires that. Number 7 had it, but 11 for Brunel, just able to knock that ball away. Third and 10 now for Bristol.
Yeah, sounds all better now.
There's a fly. Third and 10 for Bristol. Go away. They'd love to be able to capitalise. Oh, but a timeout called. You know, I mean, if I'm Bristol, I think this is a good use for timeout. Discuss this because, you know, this is only the second time they've managed to be in the Brunel half of the field.
It's interesting because
So 7:35 remaining, and Bristol have got 1 timeout remaining.
just say 6 touchdowns in this game, 6 touchdowns in 1 quarter.
Yeah.
Second quarter, nothing so far, and 2 touchdowns so far in half the game in the other semi-final or quarter-final.
What are you doing next Sunday?
Training, that's it.
You sure? Would you like to commentate a football game?
Would love to.
Huh?
Would love to.
How far away is Bournemouth from Southampton?
I want to say half an hour, but it could
Oh
be up
yeah,
to
you
an
can
hour.
do that then. Well, depending on kickoff time, of course. 7 in motion, okay.
Oh,
The
it's a
ball
live
is out.
He's fumbled it.
Oh, and just.
Gets battered like a car crash.
I mean, there's a lot of talk there from the Bristol coaches, but
This is one of the big issues. One of the risks when you run multiple, triple, quadruple, quintuple reverses is that with the ball just constantly going back every step, it just makes it
which
so
one,
much
if
more
that
likely.
ball comes out, it's catastrophic. Bristol managing to dive on it is good, but
It's insane, but they lost a lot of yards.
and they are gonna.
I mean, in a situation like this as well, when you're losing by this much and the game is pretty much, you've got nothing to lose at this point, you know? If you lose by 1 point or you lose by 70 points, you're out of the playoffs. So, with this being said, I really feel like if I was the offensive coordinator or even special teams, if I was in charge of Bristol, I would be going for it because...
Some movement there.
I'll be going for it because you had the momentum with you a second ago.
So it's going to be on Bristol, so they're going to be heading backwards.
I mean, at this point, I might reconsider because of the yards, but I would definitely...
To be
not
fair
wanna
to
give
Bristol,
up.
sorry, go on.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'd say, I mean, Bristol going back there is not too much of a problem, I'd say. Gives them a bit more field to work with here.
Tiny bit more. Depends on how well they can get this punt off.
I mean, not much wind here today, as you can see. Beautiful day.
Yeah, tiny bit of breeze. I mean, the coat will probably go on at halftime. Slow snap. And not a particularly great punt. Had a little bit of hang time, but didn't seem to have any distance and just sort of careered over to the sideline.
You know, don't get me wrong, Brunel are going to be starting on their own 25. But, I mean, we've seen the cannon arm of Jelinski with a fleet of, you know, sure-handed receivers. Doesn't really seem like a problem. However, last time did result in a punt that was botched for Brunel.
I mean, it's always something you want to look out. Always something you want to look out for. You know, who's the personnel out wide? Who's on the field currently? How much time? We've got quite a lot of time. The Brunel Burners can easily march down the field once, maybe even twice.
Jelinski drops back, fires it out to Turin again. Got some blockers, finds a hole, and he's going to find himself with a first down.
Turin is a very smart runner. I've seen the way he puts his arm out. You know, it's very easy to go past your blockers and just take off full speed down the sideline. But he really did use his blockers to the last minute. You know, had his hand out extended, managed to make a cut inside and make another guy miss as well. And the most important thing is obviously he's got the chains moving as well. Gets the first down. And once you have the first down, that's the most important thing. After that, it's free for all.
But it's also smart linemen getting out there and blocking for their running back.
You can tell that they've been repping this quite a few times, and you can tell that in training they rep it out to a T until they're able to do it properly with no mistakes before they bring it to a game.
Bit of a lofty snap there, but Pinto's got it, but he is wrapped up there. Once again, Jed was there to bring Pinto to the ground.
Yeah, it seems to me on that one, the gap just sort of closed up a little bit. Pinto was able to squeeze through it, but somebody got an arm to him.
But it's going to be a gain of, gosh, maybe half a yard for Brunel.
I mean, speaking of arm tackles, to be fair, there was one last week. One of the Portsmouth players made an arm tackle on a guy, and it was insane. Just completely, a big running back. Big running back, and it was a defensive nose tackle, I believe. He just put his arm out and just took him in with one arm. Most impressive one-arm tackle I've seen. And now, he's been signed to an A-left team, so definitely shows that those tackles are, he's good at something if he's able to make a one-arm tackle.
But just going to have a bit too much on it there. I'll tell you what, I do love seeing like people in their Uniball uniforms on their ELF signing posts.
It's amazing. It's amazing because it's like, you know, look where he's come from. He's come from little tiny Brunel, or, you know, it's even funnier when it's a Div 2 team. Someone goes from... I mean, we've seen guys from like Oxford Brooks, for example, they're Div 2, and they've sent guys to the GFL and whatnot. So, I mean, you look at a team and think, oh, they're Div 2. It's not automatically that they're bad or anything, because some of them have some of the best players in the country. And the only difference is obviously when you go up the higher divisions, you have more athletes in the team. So the Prem teams, for example, will probably have, some of them will have their whole team out there in other leagues.
So bunch trips on the right for Brunel. Jelinski, empty backfield, got some time, just fires it short. But a good tackle there by number 23.
Brings them up to about the halfway line. Do you think they're going to go for it or go for a punt? I mean, we've probably heard Yeah, it seems like they're going out for it. I mean, there's no real reason to punt at this stage of the game. I mean, given the score, I don't really think it's worth any team punting at this point in the game unless they've got horrible field position.
So Nathan Smith there, number 23 of the Barracuda. Did lead the team last year in interceptions. He'd love to have, I mean, 1 or 2 today. So 4th and 4 for Brunel. Empty backfield, out to 5. Number 90 there of Bristol tried.
Absolute
That
silly,
could be enough for a first down.
absolute silly move. Tyrese Rettenham, you are a bad man.
Sam Young there, he was quick. He was quick to the receiver, but
not
just
quick
could not
enough.
bring him down. First down for the Burners.
Rettenham says, call an ambulance, but not for me.
I mean, Tyrese Rettenham, last time we were here, put on a show.
Absolutely. He was arguably or easily the MVP of the game, I believe we gave him to him. I mean, he was pulling the strings from everywhere. Out wide, tight end, even the kicker.
So Turin back in, but he's brought down. And once again, number 20, the infamous Jed.
The only thing about being stood here is that you can't see anything. I'm looking over the sideline, and it's almost like it reminds me of when I was a running back and I used to look over the O-line that were all taller than me.
So 2 timeouts, 2-minute warning for the first half of Bristol versus Brunel. Bristol got a single timeout, Brunel have got 2, and Brunel are facing a 2nd and 9. Bunch trips again, Turin has got it.
From what I could see, it really looked like the upside was the opportunity there to go, put the ball in the other hand, get to the outside, get to the sideline, and you've got a little bit of space. I mean, that was certainly my go-to approach when I was playing running back, but
Another good tackle.
I like to preserve my body as much as I could, so I would take the contact when I could, when I needed to, but if there was an opportunity to go the outside, it was always that for me, to be honest.
But Nathan Smith there, number 23, with another good tackle, preventing a whole bunch of yardage there, but it's going to bring up I don't think there was anything gained on that one. It's going to be a 3rd and 8 for the Burners.
Very much like Franco Harris.
So, fake handoff.
Ooh.
Jelinski's going to take it himself.
He's got to just give up and run with it because that was
But I mean,
horrendous.
that handoff was so convincing that one of the Bristol players laid out Pinto thinking he had the ball.
I saw it was exceptional fake handoff.
I actually did it for once in my life.
The fake was brilliant. I mean, the way he ran it, the way he sold it very well.
So timeout called by Brunel. They're going to be facing a 4th and 2.
He sold it incredibly well, the way he kept running, and the way he stayed low.
Yeah.
But the fact that obviously Jelinski going out, I think the handoff was so good it also faked out the QB because the way he was just able to, the way he lost the football and gained it back, I mean, it was ridiculous. I think he just had to tuck and run at that point because I think he went to throw and the ball just slipped out of his hands. But at that point, tuck and run, take the yards. 4th and 2, live to fight another day. I mean, there's very little reason why they shouldn't pick up the first down in this play.
It's going to be interesting to see what they dial up here. I mean, if we go back to last week, I know it's a different team, but Warwick versus Cardiff. Warwick were able to get a 60-yard run off a heavy-set tush push.
How?
Because the person who had the ball managed to break out to the outside and put Warwick ahead. Could we see something similar? I don't know, but it was a great play.
If you are a defense and you let a tush push go for 60 yards, I think you just need to throw the towel in.
Kwame said that, not me. No. Right.
I'll say it again, and you can at the team who it was intended for as well. Because
4th and 2, 7 in motion.
I mean it.
Given to Pinto.
Oh, makes a hurdle. A fantastic run.
Pinto's going to have about 5, and that is going to be enough for Brunel. First down.
Seems to me, whatever the Bristol Barracuda throw at the Brunel Burners, it just doesn't seem to be enough. They have another trick up their sleeve. So I keep standing over here.
So head coach James saying that there's 40 seconds remaining. Brunel want to put another score on the board here. So Jelinski's still got it, fakes the handoff. Timeout called by Brunel. They're going to be looking to get another score on the board. But unfortunately managed to throw it just where there's a steel pole in the way.
So want to spike it after a first down, after a timeout.
I mean, you can spike it after doing that, but it wouldn't make much sense.
It's a bit pointless. Reminds me of the quarterback who spiked it on 4th down.
It's that classic one of Tom Brady looking at the refs going, 4? No, Tom.
4 timeouts.
4, 4 timeouts.
What's this called? The whole lot, man, the whole lot. Time for one more play, maybe.
So I imagine this is going to be a pass play. Based on what I don't know, but
I mean,
14 on the orbit.
Yeah.
And just like that, it's another touchdown for Brunel.
It's that man again. It's Tom Hambleton from Newcastle. And that puts us on 42.
Sorry, I didn't mean to swear at you there.
I didn't even realise. Yeah. 42-6, and that was the first score of the second quarter. Am I correct in saying?
So it looks like Brunel are going to be going for it. In motion for him. This is going to roll out. Stop throwing it to that side of the field. I can't see it.
It's difficult to see.
But 44-6 is the score.
44-6 is the score, and there's probably time for one more play.
Back out with defense, 5-1-5.
It'd be interesting to see, you know, is there time for anything else? Is there time for anything else to happen in the first half? Do you think Bristol are gonna, you know, try their luck again and try to get down to the 1 yard line again? Punch it in maybe, get a bit further this time. I think Brunel are going to be fuming after that last kick return, or that last kick off, hoping to pin Bristol into their own 10-yard line.
No.
Yeah,
they got the 2 point.
So I wasn't thinking of that.
So this first half.
There's 50 total points in the game.
And a ball that bounces along the ground. 13 has got it for the Barracuda.
Oh.
He's going to be brought down at the 30-yard line of Bristol.
That's a bit the question. So, to my memory, the highest scoring Burners game in terms of total points scored, both teams, is 78. We're on 50 right now, so that's 28 more. Do you think it's possible?
I don't know. I mean,
it's either the Burners scoring 4 touchdowns or Burners scoring 3, Bristol scoring 1, or Bristol scoring 4. think there's a potential for another four scores in the game.
So swallowed up there by Brunel. I imagine this is probably going to be the final half. And it certainly is. I mean, let's just talk about that first half, Kwame. What do you make of that? Because obviously, apart from that huge, huge run from Noodleman of the Barracuda,
I mean, if I'm Brunel, I'm in euphoria, total euphoria at this point. But you know, at this point, it's just everyone stay healthy. You know, rotate, get some of the other guys in, the more fresh guys in, get them some experience. You know, job done. The running clock will be going, and just job, go home, celebrate, stay healthy, right? If I'm Bristol, I'm thinking that first half was diabolical.
no. So if you're Brunel, what do you do? What do you do better in the second half?
Don't let Bristol return the ball.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
That's about it. I mean,
Yeah, bro.
just get themselves back in. I wouldn't say get themselves back into the game, but get momentum sort of on their direction a bit more. As for Bristol, I mean, there's a lot they could do. I mean, really, they just need to, first of all, just get the ball moving. It's far too late to say let's try and turn the game. You know, if they can get 1 or 2 scores on, or at least a couple positive drives, they'll be able to go home with something to at least hold themselves to. At least something to say, you know, we were able to drive the ball in the second half. We were able to, you know, put up a few scores. We were able to make some turnovers. We were able to actually do something with it, as opposed to, you know, just rolling over, spreading your cheeks and saying, hey, Brunel, give us your best shot.
What?
I mean, Bristol really just need the confidence right now. I think their players are sort of down, beaten up on their luck. You know, Brunel are just all over them, just swarming everywhere. So it'd be an interesting second half. It'd be an interesting one, because are they going to come out guns blazing? You know, Brunel are going to be ready to just, you know, finish it all off.
So
But are
we
Bristol...
may try and get some interviews, but I think I need to go and fix a little bit of tech issues. So we're going to have a quick break. 6 for Brunel.
4 to 6. We'll find out.
I certainly hope so. We are back. We're back in the third quarter of Brunel versus Bristol.
There's a lot of calls on the
14,
sideline. See if people are ready for
4
stuff.
to
But
6 is the score. Kwame, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, to be fair. I'm doing all right. I was exhausted after training, but the sun's out. My team is winning. My old boys are all happy.
So flag on the play, set them back. Jalitsky with an absolute missile, cannot find anyone there. So 3rd and 20 for the Burners. They are backed up on their own 10-yard line. Kwame, have we got anything else out of Bournemouth? Do you know?
As of yet,
What about D2? Anything out of D2?
see if we can find the couple more comments.
Yeah. Do you know 2 results from D2? Derby getting a walkover from Cambridge and Oxford Brookes getting one from Aberystwyth. So they're both through.
Kingston 6-6. Kingston are playing against someone. Who are Kingston playing against?
So 3rd and 24, Brunel.
Kingston Cougars, Sussex Saxons is currently
He's going
6-6.
to roll. He's going to fire.
Oh. Goodness. Caught into the breadbasket and dropped.
And
Tom Hamilton.
that is going to haunt his dreams. So we've seen a mishandled punt from Brunel before. And it'll need to be executed perfectly here unless they want to either give Bristol some excellent field position or return the favour of the safety.
That was a house call. That was a pending house call.
That was, yeah.
And he dropped it. This is important. This really shows, though. This next play really shows, you know, this is a game of short-term memory because this next play, he could make the game. I was going to say game-winning play, but the game's already been won. This next play, he could make a huge play, you know.
Keep the
So,
hope, but they're going to punt it away. Retnam's got hands on it. And that's high. And I believe that is movement of the Barracuda and of the Aztecs. He's going to have it inside of Burners territory.
good hang time. Not a lot of distance on that punt. You know, it gets it down to the 40-yard line, but probably, what, a 30-yard punt. But enough hang time to make sure that it wasn't returned. And now they're in an okay position. You know, probably, I don't think they'll feel too threatened given the score, given the field position, and given how they've played so far. I don't think they'll feel threatened at all. But you always want to convert. You always want to convert your offensive possessions.
So what do you think about the fallacy of the half-time adjustment? It's never really a thing, but I mean, do you think Bristol have said, hey, we've got to install some things? And once again, a first play of a drive for Bristol is going backwards.
I mean, in terms of half-time adjustments, unless they've brought in half of the Ohio State Buckeyes and half of the Penn State Nittany Lions, I don't really see much changing with the score or the result.
Well, the thing is, like, you know, you try and sort of keep the happiness and the confidence up, but once again, we've seen a first play for the Barracuda go backwards, making a second down from behind the sticks. This time, the Barracuda facing a 2nd and 13.
It just says to me that Brunel has their answer every single play, and I don't think I've seen a team dominate another team this much outside
Bit of a lofty snap there.
That's dropped. That was
No
dropped.
good for Bristol, but it was certainly close.
Behind all these bodies, I could see that ball touch the ground. So if that was given as a catch, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised given the score, but I would still, I still call out referees' decisions if they're not right.
So 3rd and 13 for the number 6 seed, Bristol Barracuda. 11 in motion for the Barracuda. Low snap, bounce on the ground, knee down. And that third down is going to be going backwards. They're going to be now staring at a fourth. And I'm going to say, Kwame, if I say a 4th and 12, what do you think about that?
I would say a 4th and 19.
Of course. Sorry, if it's a 4th and 19, no, Kwame's absolutely right. 12, what am I talking about?
I was trying to count 12
it's because
yards
I'm
to the
reading it
first
from that
marker.
one there like an absolute idiot. So a bit of a rush there for Bristol to get it away.
What in the world?
And I mean, Kwame, you never want to rush a punt, and I think that's what happened there to Bristol.
I don't know what happened because I saw the snap, but I saw a snap just look like a regular centre to QB snap.
Well, you could hear that the punter, he said that he wasn't ready, and then he said he was ready. I think there was something on the field that he had to get rid of. You know, the punter seemed a bit erratic, which means, you know, if the signal caller in that particular play is erratic, it normally doesn't lend itself well to the rest of the play.
I mean, it's just crazy to see. It's just crazy to see, you know. In a situation where you're already, goodness knows how many points down, good 40, close to 40 points down. You just have to play to keep your heads up. You just have to play for pride at this point. And to see not even being able to get a punt off properly is honestly demoralizing for the team. Honestly.
So Brunel missing some O-linemen there, but they got him. And Jelinski just fires one out of bounds. So second
These guys beat somebody to get to this stage. And it's just left my mind who Bristol beat last
KCL.
round. KCL, that was it.
The winners of the Southeast won. The number 3 seed. Just like if you look in the north, Sheffield Hallam, who were the 6th seed, much like Bristol, beat Nottingham Green, who were the 3 seed.
Someone else 5 seed beat the 4 seed in the north as well.
Yes, UClan lost to Stirling, 13-10. So, Jelinski drops back, fires one out. Not going to be enough on that first down to that pass out wide by Jelinski. Glad Kabaj there
That's
with
sure
the
hands.
catch.
Sure hands. If a guy has 0 drops all year, you just know he's got sure hands. Regardless of how many targets he gets.
I was going to say, how many targets has he got?
It's got to be more than 0. It's got to be at least 2.
I've got no drops for the year. 3rd and 4 for Brunel. Bristol creeping up. Good snap. Jelinski fires it. And that ball is going to be dropped.
That boy knows how to zip a pass. That boy knows how to zip a pass that not many other quarterbacks in Division 1 can do.
I mean, you've got to expect that number 3, Christian Jelinski, is feeling right at home. I imagine that it's probably not as hot as California, but it's about as bright.
I have a full-time score.
Sorry?
I have a full-time score.
Go on.
Edinburgh Napier Knights 33, Stirling Klansmen 14.
So the Napier Knights, they're the first team that we know that have punched their ticket to a shot at promotion. But who's going to be their opponent? Hallam or Northumbria?
Still no updates from those teams. And
So Jelinski rolls out, fires.
Brigham has a catch.
Flag on the play.
Did he score? He scored,
So
but there
there's
was
a
a flag.
touchdown and a flag. So we're going to see. I mean, the flag came before the touchdown signal. So we're just going to have to wait and see what our referees are going to
you see what it was for? Because
say
it looked
to
like
this?
he was walking. It looked like he was running really slowly into the end zone. Like he had a lot of space.
So, I mean, walking into the end zone, I wouldn't call that for celebration.
It'd be ridiculous if they do.
Don't get me wrong, some things are like blatant celebrations. I wouldn't say that one is.
Is the volume moving?
Yep. Yep, so
Result of the play
flag
is a
waved
touchdown.
off and another touchdown for the Burners. 50-6, the score. I mean, after a mid-season that was a bit tumultuous for the Burners, score-wise, I mean, these last three scores, you know, Brighton, UEA, and now Bristol, I mean, shockingly high scores for the Burners. For us,
In and out of the hands. Who was that intended
tell
for? Tom
him
Hamilton.
to try now. I've turned us up, and that's all I can actually do.
Okay.
So it's the end of Q3. Obviously going nice and quick.
Q3 ended with a touchdown. After a few interesting plays, some missed chances and opportunities to really knock the score up. But are we looking at 50-6 now? And the fourth quarter is just beginning.
I think that's the second celebration call that we've seen wiped away. So make of that what you will. We will try and get you some score updates from, well, everywhere else. Where are you looking? You're looking on the Sport Tank post?
Yeah, Facebook.
Yeah, if no one's putting them on there, then yeah. How about, Kwame, how about we just live in the moment?
Let's live in the moment.
Let's live in
Forget
the
the
moment.
scores.
Let's live in the moment.
Forget everything else because it's not relevant right now. The only thing that's relevant is that the Brunel Burners are winning
the only
50
game that's running
points
right
to
now is
6.
the one that's in front of us. And I think that's beautiful. So, Ratnam number 5, getting his squad ready to kick it away. We have seen a big return from Bristol already today. Will we see another? That is the
Let's
question.
find out.
Good kick. And that ball just lands dead. Number 0 has got it. So Bristol are
Attaboy.
going to get it out to the 39-yard line, well, their own 39.
Attaboy. Very interesting style of kick, to be honest. I mean, you know he's got the leg to, send it over the fence if he wants
Yes.
to. But in order to, to chip it in just into that little gap, just into that little, given the consistency of the ground as well, the way it's so soft, the ball will literally bounce and just sit there, and that is complete poison. It's complete
Well, mate,
poison because a lot of people.
I've got a complex question for you. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's hear it.
So you've seen the Burners here today. You've seen the Burners, not all season long, but you've seen them enough. Ball out, throwing it just over the head. So you've seen the Burners play basically all season long. You've seen this game as well. But you also have the experience of being part of, we're going to make the assumption that Bournemouth are still currently beating Kent. You've also been part of a, Coach Steve Rains led team. What do you think the Burners could do better in order to really, look at, who knows if Rains' scheme is similar as a few years ago versus now. But do you think there's anything that Burners could work on?
Honestly, from what I've seen this year, it looks to be a false start. Honestly, from what I've seen this year, I think for the Brunel Burners, just ironing out creases, just making sure that everything is as fine as it could possibly be. is one of the things that I'm reminded by from my running back days, is that a lot of it playing offense. With defense, for example, you just have to be good enough. Just have to be good enough of the time. With offense, everything is so meticulous. You have to get everything perfect. Like the number of times, for example, to go off on a bit of a tangent, the number of times that as a track sprinter, I would sit there working on the first 5 meters of my race. You know, the first one step, the first 2 steps, little things like that. How much attention I would give to those small details. It's the same sort of attention to detail I would give as a running back, as an offensive player. It's the same sort of attention to detail that I pay to the offensive side of this game. And a lot of it is, you know, fine-tuning little things, you know, making sure that the receiver is in the exact right spot to catch that pass where he's wide open, making sure that this blocker is in this exact space or wherever. You know, little details that are going to make things just that little bit more efficient. We've seen a few plays here that they've made that have gone for negative yards. They've had dropped passes, incompletions, sacks, all of those little things that they just need to fine-tune and just work on. These are things that will give an offensive coordinator a headache. There's a guy ran out and just decided to take a knee.
That is going to be a flag on
out.
the play there. QB took a knee, still ran into.
I mean, why would it really makes you think, why would the QB just take a knee? You know, from...
I mean, I think Danny Hudson, I think he knew he was up there, but he did meet a...
He knew what was going to happen, timed it very well, and a player...
I think that he gave himself up there with enough time.
Yeah. I then look at it, so when a player goes flying in from a defensive perspective and then he sees a player take a knee really quickly, it is very difficult to get out of the way.
Yeah.
I've experienced it, even though I'm a corner, I've experienced it. Because if you played with me or against me, you know the way I go flying into tackles. And once you've left the ground, 99 times out of 100, you are not changing direction.
So that is going to be unnecessary roughness. 15 yards for the Bristol Barracuda. Bella Whitney in at running back. Trains with the GB women's squad.
So it does result in a first down.
Timeout called by the Barracuda.
I think one thing I'm looking at as well is having played with some of the guys at Bournemouth, some of the guys at Bournemouth Bobcats, a lot of them are former teammates of mine at the Thrashers. Obviously the offensive and defensive coordinator as well. I know them very well from my time at Thrashers. So in terms of like some of the skilled players, some of the talent that they have, the Burners are going to have to take on a talented quarterback in Alfie BUCS. He's definitely one to watch in that game.
I will say number 93 as well, Joe White, playing linebacker. Don't get me wrong, former Gloucestershire Gladiator. Kicker as well, absolute dog.
One thing I will say is that this game coming up, inevitably, I think being in the fourth quarter, we can confidently say, if we can assume that Bournemouth are still winning, we can confidently say that it will be Bournemouth versus Brunel, which is a game that I've wanted to see for a few years.
Honestly, Kwame, mate, I could not agree with that more. Like 2 years ago, it was looking like that was the final. No, South final. So toss to Whitney.
Ever since, I believe it was the year that SGS came into the league.
Yes, the year before that.
They destroyed everyone, and I think that was the year that Bournemouth came up from Div 2 because they had a really good Div 1 season, and then from there I've wanted to play against them.
No, that was the year before.
Was that the year before?
Yeah.
So Bournemouth and SGS would have played against each other, wouldn't they?
No.
They didn't play each other?
No, Bournemouth came up. Bournemouth got promoted the same year SGS got promoted.
Okay, I'm with you now. I'm with you.
But the year that Bournemouth came up, their first season in Div 1, they played Port in the semi-finals, South final. Lost, but Portsmouth beat Brunel to get that place.
I remember that.
And, you know, Bournemouth's season last year wasn't great, but Exeter were just an absolute powerhouse. The Brunel versus Bournemouth story has one that will be told over years. Great tip there.
I feel like at this point, I mean, this Brunel Burners sideline is doing the commentary for us. There's not really much that needs to be said. Just listen to the atmosphere on this sideline. Everybody's having fun. Everybody wants another bite at the meal. You know, it's a big all-you-can-eat buffet, and everyone's helping themselves. You know, just go take a bite, go grab a plate, go feed yourself, help yourself.
So on a ball that was destined, it looked like, for number 11, it was tipped away by number 4 of the Burners, and that's going to bring up a 4th and 9 and the punting unit of the Barracuda. But yeah, I mean, I do intend, if anyone's interested, I did about a 2,500 word piece on UClan versus Northumbria. I'm going to do the same for Bournemouth versus Brunel. And QB on the run, punter on the run.
He's not going to get the first
There's a
down.
flag on the play.
Looks to me like it could potentially be holding, given the fact that he was running out to the outside. The flag was on that side. We could well. Why is the linebacker pointing in the wrong direction? Just count me in.
Okay, so we're back in here. Punt is away for Bristol. And probably the best punt of the day, I'd say, but it is going to be returned by number 13 of the Burners. For not much.
Yeah, I was going to say that as soon as that came off, left his foot. I was going to say it definitely, at least on the Bristol side, their best punt today. The best snap today as well. It's the first snap that I've seen that wasn't either really slow in the air or trickling along the ground.
Do you know what I'm feeling from this this Brunel sideline? Is that I think they're just starting to realise what's happening here. Because this is uncharted waters now for the Burners.
Uncharted
And for a team that has had, you know, so much success and been consistently one of the, you know, teams to really watch out for. They have never made it as far as they're going to make it in probably the next 5 minutes. I think they're realising that they've got a chance here to fulfil all of their dreams.
They've got a chance. There are Brunel
Jelinski
Burners
evades
alumni.
the sack.
Let's go. Shaq has caught and dropped it.
I will say, Kwame, there has definitely been an issue of hands in this second half
Definitely.
for Brunel.
Once I think the feeling of we're going to advance to the next round probably settled in the second quarter. So because it's not a game anymore as per se, because it's not because it's not a game where Brunel have to stop Bristol from scoring on this drive to stay in the game, or, you know, the next score wins, because we're late in the fourth quarter now. Everyone's in celebration mode already. So those plays that aren't made, it's not really a case of, you know, this
Hand
is
up
the
the
be all
middle,
and end all.
but swallowed up there. Jack Howman, formerly of the University in Nottingham, on that tackle there.
What I will say is, obviously, none of these boys who are playing were there for the Div 2 days. Myself, as we went up in
my... Div 2 days? Were
was
you
my
there for promotion?
my first year was promotion.
What did it feel like getting promoted up to D1?
Honestly, just it felt like a dream. It was euphoria. I mean, some of the thoughts, some of the ideas, some of the some of the belief around the team was that we'd come up and it would be tough. And I'm not sure if everyone was convinced that we would stay
Jelinski
up.
drops back. A short one out to Pinto.
Follows his block.
Pinto's got space.
A lot of space. Rolls the hammer.
And a big hit there. Pinto on Nathan Smith. That is going to be... Oh, there is a flag on the play.
How is he having a go at a defensive player saying you're on the bench? He's on defense. No wonder he's not on.
So that's going to be on Brunel. So that big run from Pinto is going to be wiped off the board, it looks like.
So when you go home, what's that for? They can't say anything anyway.
I mean, yeah, the mood was absolutely crazy because I was there, SJ was there, head coach James was there. I want to say that's it. I want to say that's everyone who's here. There's a few guys who are watching the game on the sideline, on the far sideline, who were there playing with us. But the feeling was like we were on top of the moon, we were on top of the world. Kings of the South, you know, it was constant
Jelinski with a
party.
rocket. And another massive touchdown. No flag on the play.
56-6. The speed that he just accelerated. He had another gear. He had another gear in him. He caught that ball effortlessly in stride and just proceeded to just take away. The gap between the last defensive back who was chasing him down just kept increasing and increasing. Didn't look like he broke a sweat.
So 2-minute warning. So going for two here are the Burners. Trying to make it 58-6. I mean, he's looking, fires it to 14. He's going to dive across the line. 58-6 is the score.
Number 14, Joel Kamara, with another reception. These boys are just feasting. It is an all-you-can-eat buffet, and they're bringing out courses after courses. 58-6. 58-6. Think about that. Think about that.
Whooping.
But I mean, Bristol have played their hearts out today. I mean,
And considering by the Burners standards of the first quarter, it's been quite pedestrian the second and third quarter as well. Because there was one score in each.
yeah. But I just mean, like, Bristol's run has been pretty decent. You know, 5-3, coming in here and beating a divisional winner in KCL.
100%.
You know,
No easy task, no mean feat, and obviously props to them for getting this far. Definitely, I mean,
they're going to be one to look out for next year.
it's important. The important thing is as well that one thing that the Burners have been susceptible to or guilty of in the past is underestimating their opponents. I've seen a number of times in a row where the Burners have gone either undefeated or one loss into the playoffs and just not been able to get it done. Just not been able to.
I feel like the thing for Brunel is they need to not overstate how important. Don't get me wrong, this is the most important game Brunel have ever played, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is that You've got a week turn. The game's over.
He said
That is
2 minute.
it.
He said 2 minute
That is
warning
it.
less than 2 minutes ago.
So,
Game.
ladies and gentlemen, the curse for the Brunel Burners looks to be over. The Brunel Burners, for the first time in the history of this team, have reached the quarter-finals of the South Div 1 playoffs. They will be playing for a spot in the Premiership next week with who we assume is going to be the Bournemouth University Bobcats. Kwame, as a former Brunel Burner, how are you feeling?
For these boys, brilliant shift they've put in. For years and years and years, we've been saying, look, the Burners need to get to the promised land, which is the Premier Division. You know, they need to get out of Division 1. It's been years and years where the Burners have gone every year. You win at least 7 games. You know, 8-0, you're 7-1, you're almost undefeated, you're undefeated, you win the conference, and then bowing out at the first round of the playoffs a few years in a row. They've managed to finally win a playoff game maybe 3-4 years ago. Again, still making these mistakes, still not getting it done, still not getting over the line, but finally now, for the first time in Division 1 history, the Burners have won more than one playoff game. You know, it's for the first time since our old Div 2 days when we got the ring, the Burners have actually won multiple playoff games. And this, for all the guys watching back at home, for all the previous Burners, for all the previous 15 odd years of Brunel Burners that have come through, honestly, there are 20-year-old tears waiting for this team, because it has been something surreal. It has been in the works for years and years and years. Since I was a rookie, there's been talk about being in the top division. There's been talk about the Burners are not where we should be. The Burners have always been in a lower division than they should be. And now to finally be in with the shot, 1 game away. It's not confirmed yet, but to finally at least be 1 game away from it, you know, to be able to say we are in that Southern final, we can play a game, we can play for it, you know. Obviously, Bournemouth will have everything to say about that, and they will give it, I'm assuming Bournemouth won.
I don't know.
They will go tooth and nail,
Check
both
your
of
phone.
these teams. They will go tooth
Check
and
your
nail,
phone.
because it is going to be an absolute game. I'm assuming it is. Got friends waking up in America who've just seen the news that the Brunel Burners have won 2 playoff games in a year for the first time since 2017.
Thanks, guys. The infamous Jed.
Yeah, she is.
How are you?
Max is in America now. Max is in America now.
I tell you what.
I just woke up to the news.
How am I supposed to get in contact with Banner that counts me?
Don't have like 8 accounts then. It's fine.
He's got 8 accounts. For what?
Oh, that's Jed, mate. You don't know Jed. Jed's Jed.
There's only one Jed. My name's Jed.
Probably. But I mean, I feel like we're just sort of waiting here for what is going to be the celebration of the Brunel Burners, the first time ever
It'll be a
making
massive
it to
celebration.
the semi-finals.
If
of
last time
the playoffs,
going 8-0 gave us that celebration down there with all the players dancing in front of the mic, best believe there's going to be something here as well.
like they know where the Brunel Burners. They know where the camera is.
You know where
But
the camera is.
I will say,
Camera. They love the camera.
I mean, Bristol having the run they've had, beating KCL, realistically against the odds. I mean, I think it's easy to say the Southwest one was not as tumultuous as I suspected it to be. So, I mean, good on Bristol. They've come out here.
I mean, you look at a scoreline like this, and it's definitely, if this doesn't put at least a bit of a shiver through the Bournemouth Bobcats, I don't know what will. I mean, I'm not here to say that they should be fearful of the Burners, or, you know, that the Burners are
I think you
going
want
to
them
do X,
to
Y,
be. I
and
think
Z.
you want them to be fearful of the
The
Burners.
fan and the former Burner in me would love it. Would love them to absolutely quake in their boots and fold over for the
like-
Burners. But I would love it. For
But
it to be a game.
If we're being real, the matchup, it's. I mean, I don't think there's more of a tantalising matchup in Uniball. And ladies and gentlemen, like I'm gonna tell you now, I don't even have to get permission. I'm doing that game. You can't stop me. I'll be there. You can't stop me from doing that game.
I think everyone will be there at that game. All eyes on that game.
Everyone should be there. And if you don't, watch it on Sport Tank.
If you can't make it to Bournemouth in person, be there online. Be there on it, because it's going to be a game. It's going to be an absolute game, and hopefully we can get this so I can stand up there and see things, because seeing over people's backs and people's tall heads, and all these players are all taller than me, it's not easy. It's not an easy task, and it's not an easy task to come to Site 5 and win. It's not an easy task to win at Site 5 when you're the home team as well. With this ground, it can get difficult to play on. It's not an easy task to win 2 playoff games or 3 playoff games and to come to Div 1, and for the past 8 or 9 years, or goodness knows how long, we've been talking about what do the Burners need to do. Other teams have played against the Burners and said, guys, please just get promoted this year. We don't want to play against you again. You know, and for there to finally be an opportunity for the Burners to put to bed all of those years of heartbreak. It's just a completely surreal feeling.
So we have got some scores. So as it stands, Plymouth beating Greenwich 14-0. Northumbria currently beating Sheffield 14-12. I'm trying to find out. Yeah.
Last we heard it was 16-0.
That was like an hour ago. They should. Are you checking their socials?
Oh, that was Willie Mike at half time. Bournemouth haven't posted anything. Who they play against?
Kent.
Oh, they posted a story. On the way, YouTube stream, game day.
So it looks as though it's at least 28-0 to the Bobcats.
Okay.
So it's looking pretty likely that it'll be Bournemouth.
Okay.
At least 28-0. Well, at least 26-0.
Where'd you see that?
So it's on their story that it was 16-0 at half time, and then they've said that they've also just got 2 more touchdowns. So at least.
Okay.
Fair play. Third quarter was still 16. Yeah, because what annoys me is when teams post, game day, and you don't hear anything from the wicket.
Kwame, do you want to help me down on this, and I can get down and we can do interviews if you want? Yeah.
When you say help you down, you mean like...
Catch me. No, just help me get the stuff down. Right, give us a second. Say hello.
Hello.
Hello, that's welcome.
Hola. ¿Cómo estás?
So, let's put this down here.
There's nothing like when Micah Richards went to Fiorentina and Balotelli was like, oh, yeah, when you go to the manager. When I open. Right, 58-6, full time, playoff final bound for the first time in Division 1 history. How does it feel?
It feels good. Obviously, we put a lot of work in this year to get to this point. Everyone sees what the results are on Sundays. Results are on Sundays, but they don't see the hard work that goes in Monday, Saturday. Thankful for the players. They're a really good group. You see the product in terms of their ability on the field, but what you don't see is behind. Really proud of them individually as well. The coaches as well. What a group. I'll be honest with you, we started off with just me and Con at the beginning of this year. And these guys just picked everything up and elevated things to a better level. So I'm really thankful for them and grateful for this opportunity. I can't wait for next week at this point. Everyone does the whole 24-hour rule, but we're at this point where we're doing 3 hours because shit. Oh, sorry. I can't wait. I can't wait for next week. I can't wait for next week.
Season. I mean, it's been a crazy season. We've seen the Burners on stream a few times so far, and there's been a few games where it's been tight games, We've had an 8-0, an 11-8, a 10-0. What's been the real difference between this game here today, the game that we've seen last time round, the sort of games that Burners have just taken on and just destroyed the other team, and the tight games? What's been the difference between a game like this? Because in previous years, this would have been a sticky game where there'd have been a lot of pressure on the Burners. It'd have been a tight game. There'd have been a lot of mistakes happening. What's been the real difference between then and now being, coming out all guns blazing and destroying the team at this first quarter?
The difference is the weather. If it is sun shining and there is no wind, Brunel will come to play. All right, no matter what. We've played in, I think, 5 out of 8 regular season games were above 30-mile-an-hour winds. Brighton, Reading, Hearts away, that was absolutely torrential, where most games got called off. Reading at home here, we played in a literal mud bowl. We didn't throw a single pass for a reason, because we couldn't grip the football. We were just intent on just getting through the game. So when the weather's shining, when the sun's shining, and we can do what we want to do and be really expansive in our looks, that's what we've trained for. We train for to crescendo towards the playoffs, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. So we like to think that we've maybe got things in our playbook that other people haven't seen. Not at Div 1 Uniball level, so we're going to keep bringing those things and keep going from here. But look, we kept a lot of our stuff and a lot of our cards, firmly in our pockets and ready for waiting for next week.
Ready for next week, and that's going to be the first ever matchup between the Brunel Burners and the Bournemouth Bobcats.
Is it Bournemouth?
It is
We don't know confirmed yet.
almost certainly confirmed. I mean, unless
We think it's at least 26-0 in the third.
I mean, unless Kent. We can rest assured to say it's probably going to be Bournemouth. But even if it is or not, how are you feeling for that game? How are you going to get these players ready for arguably the biggest game? Definitely the biggest game in the Brunel Burners history. How?
22
Points. Anyway, how do you intend on?
This is about how we prepare as a coaching staff, how we get these guys. These guys are prepared, they're ready to go. I mean, it could have been more today. We dropped a couple of TD. Brunel, I think that's what everyone's sort of pre-season prediction has been. So, dropped a couple of TD. Brunel, I think that's what everyone's sort of pre-season prediction has been. So, I'm looking forward to a great game. We know Bournemouth are a very serious team. They're a very big, good players, good coaches, and shit. Let's have the best team go through to the Prem South next year.
Former Burners player to another former Burners player, and currently the Burners head coach, the first ever Burners head coach to win 10 games in a season. Congratulations.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
And all the best for next week. That man himself. First ever Burners coach to win 10 games in a season. This is history in the making. I'm going to give the microphone back to Tebs to say something.
I mean, ladies and gentlemen, what a spectacular game. Sorry about the Kent versus Bournemouth game, but we know what it'll be next week. Hopefully we can sort it out because, I mean, I'm going to be in Bournemouth. I think you should be in Bournemouth as well. We're going to be. So, I mean, I'm going to be there regardless. If I'm streaming, if I'm not, I'm going to be there. Ladies and gentlemen, what a game this was. Brunel are going to the semi-finals, but big up to the Barracuda for getting here, playing all game. I mean, from Kwame, from me, from Sport Tank, thank you very much. Thanks, SJ, mate. Oh, are they? Oh, yeah, they